Hi guys, and welcome to the Introduction to Cato Management Application series. Today we're going to focus on the access menu. In the access menu you have access monitoring and then subsections of general, and then under access configuration you've got subsections of identity, authentication, and client access control. Under each of these subsections we have pages. Let's go over those. Let's get started. There's a lot to cover. So on access overview, this is going to show you all the remote connections per day, where they're connecting from, the POPs, and the versions, and the actual users. Under users, we're going to have all the users that are part of your Cato Management Application. So you can see SDP user activity. I can click on those and get details. I can look at my user directory, and I can build a new user here, a manual new user if I want to, and add a user. Or I can take actions like disabling and deleting a user once I check the box over here. And then go to actions. You can then do that. Great. User groups. These are going to be groups. You can set up a new user group here, or you can just basically inherit these from your SCIM or LDAP environment. So here's some system groups as well. SDP users overview. This is going to show each user and their connection details. And so it's going to break that down, whether they're connected or disconnected, and what they're connected to. And you can draw a line over that and get specific details on what's being connected for your remote users. Protected endpoints is details on Cato's EPP product or endpoint protection solution. I have a laptop here, there's connected, and there's some actions history as well. So it's how you can configure and take action with our Cato EPP client. So let's get into access configuration. Under directory services, here you can configure a directory services. I have Azure set up in my environment. That's the most common one. You can set up whichever one that's supported. So you can go in here, you can go Okta, one login, one welcome, and then walk through the steps to actually set that up. There's lots of information on the Academy and the help to be able to get you started there. License assignment, pretty self-explanatory. This is how you assign licenses to your remote users and SDP users. User awareness is going to be able to provide real-time information for clients that are sitting behind LDAP controllers, so DNS controllers. So it allows you to do user awareness and understanding of, let's say there's a user out there that maybe doesn't have the SDP client on it and he's in an office mode. We can share information with your domain controller so we have information on that user, and you can start to apply zero trust rules. And so you can start to set that up here and do the domain and username associated with getting that real-time information for user awareness. Single sign-on is part of our authentication offering. Typically, this is going to be Azure. We have a number of different ones that we offer here for identity providers that you can set up. This allows it easy to be able to log in and use single sign-on as that choice method. So user authentication, it's going to go, how do you want to do that? Do you want to do certain directory services, all directory services, manual, not, whatever. So it allows you to be able to, depending on who your single sign-on provider is, and assign that. Maybe you have multiple, you can do that right here. Mac authentication, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on here, but read about it if you need it. Client access control. So client connectivity policy allows you to be able to check on your individual clients as you get on the network for things like a virus check or security agent or firewall or certain OS. And so you can set these up to make sure that your laptops or remote devices are up to a certain standard of your security posture. So you can use device posture profiles to do that. You can build a device profile and apply it, and you can talk about the confidence level you want, basically making sure that they're up to what you have set up, and then you can assign those user groups. So great way to be able to ensure that the devices out there are set up the way you want them to. And then you can do client access to be able to apply client certs as well as pre-logon setup to be able to access the infrastructure. So could they have a limited subset of things that they can access, like the AD server? If you're shipping out a laptop, maybe they have to do a certificate check. We can do that in here. Client rollout allows you to see what versions of the client SDP client that are available, and you can download those and kind of choose which group that you would like to be in. So the always on profile here allows you to be able to set up your device as always on, so they can never turn that off. The client remote, the client SDP client from Cato, and so you can always be on. They only can connect through the Cato infrastructure to access resources. Split tunnel policy, if you want to set that up, you can read more in our KBs on that. IP allocation policy, I talked a little about this yesterday, but this allows you to set up different versions of the IP allocation of how you want to do ranges and those type of things. If you have a proxy environment, you might want to mess with the proxy configuration policy. I'll leave that up to you. DNS settings, talked a little bit about this in the previous video, but essentially you can set up DNS settings on a per user basis and who applies that and who doesn't. Trusted network, same thing. So when you're on a trusted network, you're going to have some of that ability to do, bypass the always on configuration. So you can use that as a way to be able to control some of your client connectivity policy. Okay, so the applications portal is going to be your ability to do our client list. So Cato's client list portal. So if you have a contractor or somebody that wants to be able to set up within the environment, you can give them a website that you set up and publish applications there, so they don't actually have to download the Cato STP client and publish certain, applications internally they can access and authenticate with. So that can be very useful. All right, guys, thanks so much. I hope this was helpful. So in today's CMA intro video, we talked about the access menu. We talked about access monitoring, users and groups. We talked about identity and being able to set up directory services via SCIM and license assignment. We talked about authentication and single sign-on options. We talked about client access control and ways to be able to control remote users and ensure they're up to a standard internally for your organization. And then we talked about the client list portal, ways to be able to deliver applications to contractors, remote workers without actually having to download the Cato STP file. Thanks so much, guys. I hope this is helpful.